Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology.
Hello, this is Srividhya, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai. In this lecture, we shall see the introduction about random variables. Introduction to random variables. A random variable is a variable whose value is a numerical outcome of a random events taking any value within an interval. That is, we can take any value within a limit. What is variable? Variable is a symbol that can take on any number of specified set of values. We use uppercase letters, that is capital letter, to represent a random variable and a lowercase letter to represent values, one of its values. That is, we denote the random variable as P of, that is P stands for probability. So probability of X, random variable X, which takes the value small letter x. X can vary. Okay, that is why it is called a random variable. So P of X is equal to X. We denote in this way. We note that the outcome of a random experiment cannot be predicted with certainty before the experiment is run. What is the difference between random variable and an outcome? An outcome is a particular result of a random experiment. What is random experiment? It is a possible value. That is, we have more than one outcome. If you have more than one outcome, we can call it as a random experiment. A random variable is a numerical quantity that represents possible outcomes of the experiment. In other words, a random variable is a function that assigns a numerical value to each outcome. That is, what are random variables? The random variables which takes possible values, which can take any value between the limits, possible values, which gives you a probability of an event. The random variable is equivalent to sample space of an event. We denote x as a random variable and x is equal to the value of a random variable, that is small letter x, which is the value of a random variable, and p of x, which is the probability of a random variable x. We can write this probability of random variable as p of x is equal to 1, which is nothing but small x, which can take the value 1, which is nothing but the probability of random variable whose value is 1. Similarly, we can have other variable x is equal to 7, which is the probability of random variable whose value is 7. Next is, what is random variable, what is not a random variable. So let us see one by one. Random variable. Random variable, what are all the random variables? Number one is amount of rainfall. So we cannot predict certainly. That comes under random variable. That is amount of rainfall. Marks of a student in final exam. Number of ants born tomorrow. Amount of sugar in coffee. Number of defective bulbs in a box of 10. The temperature of the day. These are all we cannot predict certainly. That is why we call it as a random variable. Not a random variable. These are fixed quantities or values. Number of days in a week, year of birth of a student, number of months in a year, number of hours in a day, number of items in a dozen of pack. The last one is value of pi. So the random variables can be expressed in these ways. That is, the terms variable and constant are opposite to each other. Variable means changing. The random variable is a quantity whose value is subject to change. Random variable is equal to value of a variable is random. Random variable is equal to value of a variable is not constant. Random variable is equal to value of variable is changing. Random variable can take any set of different possible values. So the value of random variable is determined by the outcome of the experiment. So this is for your motivation. So the random variable, we can consider a sample space. Suppose if we toss a coin, either head or tail will happen. So let us consider this as a head and tail. We can consider the probability of getting head as 1. That is, the small x could be 1. If the outcome is so, your probability is 1 by 2. Suppose if your tail is 0, that is random variable x can take the value 0, then it could be the chance of half, that is 1 by 2. Value of the random variable which takes value 1, which is 1 by 2. The probability of random variable which takes 0 as 1 by 2. Next, we can have a rolling a die. For rolling a die, what are the outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So let us take this outcomes as a random variable x, a small x, which can take the values 1, 2, 3, which may vary. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are all the outcomes. X is the number of values you get. This is a random variable. These are the applications of random variables in engineering and in many other fields. Random variables are used in engineering for modeling uncertainty and randomness in various systems, enabling engineers to analyze, predict, and design more robust and reliable systems. They are used in fields like signal processing, reliability analysis, and simulations, and also used in noise characterization, communication systems, component failure, structural analysis, financial engineering, system modeling, image and video processing, control systems, manufacturing, and many other fields. Now let us see examples based on the random variables. Rolling a die is a random variable. Tossing a coin is a random variable. Selecting a message signal for a transmission from several messages. And drawing a card from a deck of cards. A coin is tossed twice so that the sample space would be two tails, one tail, one head and tail, both the heads will happen. Let x represents the number of heads that can come up. Let us write this as a random variable, a sample point, tail, which takes no heads. Let us assume that number of heads to be x. So tail, your value of a random variable x is 0. That is, number of heads is equal to 0. Then tail head, here one head happens. So number of heads would be 1. And next, here head to tail, one head happens. So this 1, x is equal to 1. The number of heads is equal to 1. Head, here 2 head happens. Number of heads is equal to 2. So let us take these are all the random variables which are the real valued elements. Possible values that x can take are 0, 1 and 2. So in this case of head and head, 2 heads appear. We can write x is equal to 2. For a tail and head, x is equal to 1. From this it follows that x is a random variable. There are two types of random variables. One is continuous random variable and another one is discrete random variable. What is discrete random variable? Tossing a coin, the random variable could be the number of heads, that is 0 or 1. So either it could be 0 or it could be 1. So we will be able to find the probability of the value which takes 0 directly. And if you roll a die, the random variables could be the number that appears on the die is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. Any one can happen at a time. The number of cars passing a certain point in an hour. Next is continuous case, where and all we cannot find directly, that is which can take a direct value, we can consider it as a continuous. That is it between the interval, which is number 1, temperature of a room. It could be continuous, it could be changed. Time it takes to complete a task, it is also depending on a particular value, so which is a continuous. Summary of this lecture is introduction of random variables, difference between random variables and an outcome, what is random variable and what is not a random variable, applications of random variables in engineering, examples of random variables and how to denote mathematically, types of random variables with examples. Thank you.